Hi, I'm Melissa Bunch.
And I am Paul Bunch.
And welcome to the Spirit Code. All right, so today is our 5-part series of our marriage class, and this is day 5. And day 5, we are doing healing or resolving conflict. So this is going to be very much centered around what we can do energetically to assist in coming back to a space of peacefulness, safety, and oneness so that we can truly experience the connection that we desire in marriage. So this is a place where we typically are. We're very much in a place where we are one energy source, where we are completely connected with no walls and no separation between the two of us. And it was really interesting when we got to this point is because we were actually muscle testing to be the same person for a while. And this is where we came to an opportunity to learn how to merge our energy sources and to really resolve our conflict and to remove all the negativity. So that's what we're going to do today. And so this is also our class for our students. So we are combining the two right now. So for all of you that are watching this for free, you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek also of what we would be offering our students. However, we are not going to complicate this too much for you either, so that you are able to follow along. But we have also really found that whenever we are really struggling and we are in conflict, that speaking or like really working to resolve it with logic just doesn't seem to work. We just tend to dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper because somebody has to give. Somebody has to be either be the one to apologize, or somebody has to be the one at fault, and nobody wants to be the one that caused the conflict. Nobody wants to be at fault. Nobody wants to be the one to say, yeah, I kind of messed up here. And this is what we kind of typically find is that everybody is going to come at conflict from a victim dynamic. And let's talk, would you like to talk about the victim, the drama triangle?
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. And so with the victims, well, it's called the drama triangle. And so you have 3 parts of it: the persecutor, the victim, and the rescuer. So starting off with the persecutor, we all know that what this would describe is somebody that is causing, in your mind, the problem. And so it could actually be like even in the form of a test at school or something of that sort. It doesn't have to be a person. It could actually be your own physical body. But typically it's going to be the other person that you're
or a hurricane, or an earthquake.
Yeah,
the person that's causing, or the thing that is causing you to experience a lot of distress.
Yeah,
the bad guy.
And typically in a relationship, particularly husband-wife or boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or
ex-husband, ex-wife.
Yeah,
right. We always see the other person as the persecutor.
The persecutor is going to be the bad guy that causes you problems. And you, as the victim, are essentially, you put yourself in a position where you're kind of helpless, defenseless. And
it's not your fault because we didn't do anything to cause it. But in reality, both parties feel the same way.
Yeah. From
each person's perspective, they feel that they haven't done anything wrong and it's the other person's fault. And so the problem is we're not looking at this from the overall picture from both persons' perspectives. We're looking at it from our own perspective, and we are attaching our emotions to it, which makes it even more intense energy.
And then you have the rescuer, and that can also come in different forms. But typically you want somebody to come in knight in shining armor and rescue you, sweep you away, and resolve all the problems so you don't have to worry about it anymore.
And I usually want it to be him. I want him to sweep me up and make it all better. And some people turn to ice cream, like Ben and Jerry's. Some pretty good stuff. Or gelato, yum. As you can tell, ice cream is a favorite. And like a lot of people, you can turn to addictions. You can turn to pornography.
Something that makes you feel good temporarily.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be alcohol. It could be smoking. Yeah. It could be calling up a friend and complaining about your spouse.
The idea of drowning your sorrows away. That's a rescuer.
Right. Something to help validate you, or someone to help validate you that you haven't done anything wrong, that woe is you. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean that's kind of how we feel. We're really in a ticked off sort of mode, and we want to feel sorry for ourselves, but we want to feel better. And so we need somebody to kind of like come in and stroke your ego and help you to feel validated in the choices that you've made and the way that you behaved. And then that way you can kind of excuse away your own accountability, as opposed to actually, stepping up to the plate and taking those consequences and choosing a new path. Because it's just the reactionary way in which most people handle conflict.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so where do you want to go to next?
Yeah, well, what does that do in a relationship, right? So let's say you have a dominant and a passive personalities. So if you have one person who's always dominant and in control, and the other person who's always kind of giving in, you're most likely going to slip into certain roles that you tend to always stay in. But if you have two strong personalities or two more passive personalities in a relationship, who's going to ever give? Right? So if you have two dominant, they're both going to stand there like they are the right one. And so you might also be able to see in your relationship who is the one who always gives in, who is the one that is always taking the blame. And it could be that the dominant personality is the one stomping all over the other person, and at some point they do step up to the plate, take accountability, and apologize because they really did create the conflict. Other times, there really isn't a creator. There really is just a big misunderstanding. And in those cases, neither party really wants to take the blame, because neither party really feels as though they created the conflict in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's when you just kind of play a game, just spinning in circles.
And sometimes taking the blame, it can be really hard to do, because if you don't feel like you're in the wrong, it's almost like lying to yourself, like admitting that you are a person that you're not, essentially. Yeah. And so it can be really hard to look at it from a way that the other person is viewing the situation. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same, just kind of, as we've talked about before, shifting it just a little bit to basically understand the viewpoint and how in their mind we could have done something better. And so let's actually move on to the empowering dynamic.
That'd be a good
so
one. Yeah.
To resolve this,
hang on real quick. The drama triangle, you're focusing on the problem.
Yeah.
Right? When you're talking with your spouse, you're just focusing on the problem, seeking a solution that really isn't working, because we're dealing with emotions here. Okay?
And okay, so for the empowerment dynamic is what we call it, is the opposite of the drama triangle. Mm-hmm. And you have the three roles: the creator, the challenger, and the coach. Mm-hmm. And so the creator, that's you. Yeah, the one that would be in the victim role. Mm-hmm. But instead, you're looking at it as a way to resolve the problem in a creative manner. Sometimes you have to really do a lot of thinking to be creative and figure out how to switch the situation around to a positive manner. So
really, as the creator, you are solution focused. That is the most critical component here. The creator is a solution focused. Yeah. And that you really are taking control of your life. I am not the victim of my life. I'm not the victim of others. And really coming at it from a place of self-love and loving the other person, and really knowing the direction that you want to go. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to create it? Right? If you don't know if you want to be married and you're kind of like one foot out the door, then every time that there's conflict, you really don't know which direction you're working towards. You might be working towards being single. You might be working towards a happy, connected marriage. So if you really aren't resolved in that vision for your future and that goal that you have for your marriage, then once again, you're going to kind of just be spinning in circles, focusing on the problem. So you need to know where your focus is. And if your focus is really stable in this eternal loving marriage, and that no matter what, you love this other person and you want to be with them forever. Then whenever there's conflict, you focus on the solution and you focus on creating a different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you're a creator in your relationship, then the next role that you have that you can fall into is that the other person is just going to be your challenger. So they might be challenging you. So all this is a perspective shift. You're not controlling the other person. You're not saying, okay, we're in conflict. You're my challenger. And they're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is all just your perspective. Okay, we are just dealing with what you can do inside yourself. We are not telling you how to change somebody else. We are telling you how you can shift your own internal perspective to create different results.
And actually, so when we think about this as a challenger, we have to consider the idea that we all have challenges in life and that we came down to this earth to experience those challenges in the first place. Why? So that we can have the opportunity to learn and improve ourselves.
That is the hardest thing to accept. You know that, though.
I'll give you a quick example that I like to give quite often. If you're a basketball player, you're an NBA professional basketball player, and some little kid comes up to you that's like 8 years old and challenges you. You're like, okay, I'll just kind of dribble around and just kind of tease you and have fun with you. It's not a real challenge.
Yeah.
So let's say you get a high school kid that's pretty good. He steps up and says, okay, I'm ready to play you. And he's serious about it. And so he really gives it his all and pushes you a little bit. You have to run around a little bit more. You get a little bit challenged, but you still just wipe the floor with them. So what do you really want? What is going to give you the challenge that's going to improve your skills and push you to become a better basketball player? You have to play somebody that's equally as good or better, right? So you go and play other NBA players. And so when we come to this earth and we complain about our challenges being too hard, just remember that if you have an easy challenge, you're not going to grow and experience the kind of growth that you desire if the challenges are easy.
Yeah, we found most of our conflicts actually teach us something.
A lot, actually.
Like every single time we're like, oh, Heavenly Father is trying to teach us how to do that energy release.
And it's like,
woo, okay.
Every time it's the end of the world, too.
Yeah.
Every challenge or every conflict is like the end of the world.
Thank you.
For both of us.
That. Right. So anyhow, what we're really kind of trying to help you to recognize is that when conflict arises, your emotions are so involved that you're not going to be able to just talk it away. Like, we have tried that a billion times. We're both divorced. We've tried it a billion times. It doesn't work, okay? You cannot just sit down and talk it away and make it better. And that's why this energy step is so important. And I have to say, Tony Robbins, he's a very powerful coach. There's some things I really love that he offers. And he was talking about how in the past, in his previous marriage, that their arguments would go on for days and days and days. And, I can't check that message. So it would go on for days and days. And now he said it lasts about 30 seconds. That he recognizes what he's feeling. He challenges it. He changes it. He shifts it. And he moves on. Maybe it wasn't 30 seconds. Maybe it was like 5 minutes. But point is, it was like really, really fast. And something that Tony Robbins has started incorporating into his practice is energy work. And that's pretty new. He's just recently announced that he's incorporated some energy work in. And that's something that we have found has made all of the difference, because we've done all of the coaching techniques in our relationship and we still can get to that really frustrated place. Yeah. But we need it in addition to the energy work. Like, just doing the energy work, we find that we recreate the junk. Like, the second that we heal from it, it's like we recreate it 5 minutes later in the middle of our conversation and we're like, this isn't working. But if we do just the coaching dynamic, we still find that we're still in conflict. So we found that incorporating the two together, it's a dream come true. and it works every single time. And that's what we're trying to teach you right now. So we want to teach you some basic coaching understandings of how these relationship dynamics play out in your life and how you can shift them. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the coach and the challenger and the creator dynamic. And then we want to bring in the shift with the energy work. And it's something we actually need to do on ourselves right now. We've been having a lot of resistance to doing this very class. That's why we're a day late. Everything has fallen apart. Every time that we have tried to film this class, life just keeps on falling apart around us. And whether it is stuff with school, stuff with kids, stuff with the house, like the garage door, the garage door fell apart, the dishwasher fell apart, and the sink started leaking all over the place. And we're like, this was when I was going to film my class. And so it just kind of like snowballed that the whole day happened like that. And then we had some other issues that occurred. So we actually have a little bit of conflict that we're dealing with right now. So we need to do this work ourselves. And I think that that's a great way to come at this.
Yeah, this is actually for real. So
we're actually a little ticked off at each other right now.
This isn't like an acting right now. This is actually for real.
Yeah, like the other classes, we're coming up with something ridiculous. Maybe Heavenly Father was saying, you guys need to be more real. Like, you need to really get back in touch with how this feels to really be able to teach the conflict. And isn't that funny? We schedule a class on conflict, and we didn't even think Heavenly Father was going to give us conflict to be able to do it. What was I thinking? We know how this works. So our conflict, we really don't need to talk about what the conflict was, I don't think. But the point is the different perspectives that we have is that if I come at this as I'm the creator of my life, I'm the creator of my results, I live consciously. Something that Chris Cronin and Gerald Rogers, two amazing mentors also, that they teach, they call it the conscious creator. And so that's what you're doing, is that you are consciously creating a new result, and you are behaving consciously. You are not just reacting and responding to the other person and blaming the other person. And this takes work, you guys. Like, when I teach this, I have to say it is a conscious shift in all of your thought processes, so that when conflict arises, you immediately fall into this healthier cycle. And that if two people are involved in this and one person is doing the healthier cycle and the other person is not, it can drive you crazy. But seriously, it is possible. So the more and more that you are able to focus on, I am consciously responding, I am consciously creating the results that I desire, I'm focusing on the solution and not focusing on the problem. Because if you're focusing on the solution, you're going to look for a solution. Right? And if you're focusing on your vision for your life, and you're focusing on your dream and your desire and really who the other person truly is, you're not focusing on the one stupid thing that they did, right? Or the one silly thing that they said that you want to just drill into the ground 1,000 times. And the more that you say how they hurt you, and the more that you say how frustrated you are with the way they behaved, the more that person gets defensive, and the more that you tend to just react. And it's that snowball. You just keep on reacting based on what the other person said. And then you've got more and more leverage. And the more that you argue, the more leverage that you have. Like, well, what you said 5 minutes ago, and then what you said an hour ago, and then what you said 2 hours ago, and what you said yesterday. Like, you have a whole lot now, not just the original issue, right? Because then you've got the trigger, and that made you upset in the first place, whether it reminded you of something that happened in your relationship or something that happened in a previous relationship, like a trigger, a memory. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to give the explanation if that's okay with you. So my trigger, and I'm just going to be really real here. My trigger was that I checked the bank account and had seen that he had purchased flight tickets without talking to me about it. And so what it triggered me, because typically I already knew this flight was coming up. I already knew that these were going to be the dates. However, I didn't know when he was going to purchase them, and I didn't get a say on like his return flight, because his return flight's on my birthday. So I kind of wanted to say when he was coming back, and I wanted to make sure that it was all scheduled with a place to stay and vehicle and and how we're going to kind of juggle all of these other obligations and responsibilities that we have. And so I just wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to be aware that he had done it, but instead I found it and had found out it was a couple days prior. So I felt as though I'd been lied to. I felt as though he had been, kind of doing this behind my back without telling me, even though I knew he was going to. And so what it did was it triggered in something inside of me that had happened a year and a half ago, where he had purchased. Yeah, I'm not going to go into those details. Where once again he had just purchased a flight ticket without telling me when he was overseas, and so that was something that maybe it was 2 years ago. About 2 years ago. And so really seeing that flight ticket on the bank account, I was aware that it was going to happen, and there was so much stuff going on with work and with our personal lives. I wasn't too surprised that we weren't able to talk about it, but it really wasn't something that would have upset me. However, it was a trigger because it reminded me of something that happened previously that I had a very strong emotional connection to, because we were still dating at the time. We weren't married, and so at that time, it kind of brought up all of those emotions in addition to, how I felt about that. And so I tried to come at it in a very healthy manner, but we both still kind of struggle with being able to really express ourselves in a very healthy manner, really being able to do it in a respectful manner towards the other person's feelings, and looking for a solution. Because what happens is as soon as you bring it up, the other person gets defensive. So even as the creator, even standing in the creator dynamic, and I think I've only told you about the creator and the challenger. The coach is really just going to be somebody who kind of pushes you. And if you've ever watched any of Tony Robbins' videos, you'll see how he coaches people, and he can really push people to the point of being really upset and uncomfortable. And he's trying to get you out of your comfort zone, trying to help you to see things from a different perspective, really trying to push you to open your eyes to a different possibility, because we see ourselves as this, almost everybody sees themselves as the innocent person in the story who did nothing wrong. And so even as you try to shift out of that victim cycle, you still kind of may, even if you're consciously focusing, because I was really trying to consciously focus and saying, here's the my trigger, here's how I'm feeling, here's what I really want to create. But that instantly puts him still in a place of feeling defensive. So how do we get out of that pattern? How do we shift this so that we don't just keep on recreating old results, arguing and being, having our feelings hurt? And me being able to, the person having the issue, being able to bring it up in such a manner that doesn't create defensiveness. Because that's really our goal here, is to just express how we're feeling, to say why, but the goal is to say it in such a way that the other person doesn't feel like they need to defend themselves. Instead, they feel as though they can express themselves and continue to look for a solution for a healthier way to resolve the issue.
All right. So I actually want to bring this up, that we did discuss this in the first video. And so you may remember that, but it is such an important topic that going over it again is really good.
Especially in conflict, because that's when we need to go over this issue.
Yeah.
And we need to really focus on it. And if we're in this relationship, and let's say the challenger is a hurricane hit our house, right? And we really want to be the creator in this situation, then we do need a coach, because we really do use all three corners of this triangle. When you're in that victim cycle, you really do look for somebody to help you to feel better. Like, that is how your brain survives. Your brain is there to protect you.
Yeah. And that coach could be like your community, and like your neighbors, mm-hmm. or your church or school.
God, the scriptures.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking for the strength to be able to draw from them and not give up hope, and actually have that determination to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to change topics a little bit, and I want to kind of address the two affirmations that we said before. And if you remember them, it's I love myself the same as God loves me, and I love myself exactly as I am right now.
Yeah, because that is really what triggered both of us, is we both just felt bad about ourselves. Mm-hmm. He started feeling bad about himself. I felt bad about myself. It wasn't like we don't go into conflict where we're like yelling and screaming, but we definitely both end up feeling bad about ourselves.
Yeah. So I want to invite you to say that today, but I actually want you to do something else, okay? I'm going to coach Melissa a little bit, okay? And I want you to say it as well.
I was also thinking, like, I like to do the tapping at this because, right now, you guys know the issue and it's unresolved because it's emotional. There really is no logical solution because there's really no issue. There really isn't. It's just my emotions feeling bad because you didn't tell me before purchasing the tickets. That's it. You know?
Right. So I want to give you 2 affirmations.
Okay.
And I want the audience to say it as well. Melissa, I love you exactly as you are right now.
Paul, I love you exactly as you are right now.
And
you know what? That can be hard because you might actually be like so mad you want to just like, I'm kidding. Not in this relationship. I don't feel like that.
And I love you the same as I love myself. Which may not necessarily mean a lot right now, but I'm trying to apply this affirmation.
Or I see you the way that God sees you.
That's very good.
That's kind of like in the book Avatar. It was I see you, mm-hmm. and it means I see all of you. It doesn't mean that I see what you look like. Mm-hmm. It means I see your heart, I see your spirit, I see your intentions, I see your personality, I see your soul. I see you.
So I see you the same as God sees you. Yeah. I can't say I love you the same as God loves you because that's
kind of intense.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can actually.
But we are here to learn how to be like that. So I would like to say
love
that.
You the same as God loves
you. I try. Okay, so what we want to kind of express to you is happening right now is that we have been focusing on the issue and trying to look for a solution. Every time we try, sabotage within 5 seconds. And so when you're really focusing on the solution and you're trying to be the creator in this conflict, you still are going to put up a solution that the other person's going to feel defensive of. And that's exactly what happens, is that I put up a solution saying, here's what I need. Here's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Here's the resolution. And he just is like, well, that's not fair because then I have to basically be the person who resolves this, and that isn't fair to me. And so in my mind, that's all I really need, and I feel better, and then life goes on. Because it all started with me, I assume that it all finishes with me feeling better. And so it can be really difficult to recognize that he's emotionally involved as well, even though I'm kind of like, well, why are you even emotionally involved? You're not the one who, got found out the way that I did. And so, like I said, even trying to focus on the solution, we're just going to keep beating our heads against the wall. So this is where it's kind of like saying, if you go into a room and you focus on everything that's blue, and then the person says, now how many brown items did you see? You're like, huh? So that's what I want to kind of give you as an example. I want you to go at this and don't even look at the problem. So when we're focusing on the solution, I don't mean the solution for the problem. I mean, take a bigger step out. I want you to focus on something different. So if the solution is tapping, energy work, and jumping, in the bed and making it better.
I thought you said jumping off a brick. That's not the right solution.
No, if your solutions are going to be to resolve this, then that is the focus. Mm-hmm. But if you think that focusing on the solution means, okay, the solution is I need you to do X, Y, and Z, it's just going to not work. You're just going to keep on having this conflict. So you don't look at the conflict. You don't look at the details. And the first person we kind of coached this on, they were saying, well, wait a minute here, because the issue is still there. The problem is still there. If I focus on something else and everything's happy-go-lucky, how's that going to make it better? Because the problem is still there. Here's the deal. You're coming at this problem in a place of emotions. You are emotionally reacting. You're dealing with your automatic emotional reaction and your automatic thought response. And it is not going to be a nice, clean, clear picture where you can find a solution, because your emotions are so out of whack right now. So we need to deal with the emotions, and we're going to do tapping.
Yes. So we actually do have a write-up that we're going to go through.
And we want to show it to you. Yeah. Now, if you're watching on Facebook Live, you're actually not going to get to see what we're pulling up on the computer, but we are also filming on Zoom, and we are going to have that. If you would like to see what we're actually showing everybody on the other camera, we're actually showing you in the program the different steps that we are doing. And so just comment below on Facebook Live if you are watching Facebook Live, and I can send you a link. We are uploading all this to teachable.com for free, and I'll send you a link. All you gotta do is put your information in and watch. Like, there are no tricks whatsoever.
So I want to say one more thing for the guys. All right. There was this Seinfeld episode where George Costanza.
That's like we watch TV all the time. We're constantly talking about like movie and TV references. I feel horrible because we don't we really don't watch TV. I watched Captain Underpants, but I haven't watched anything else. I have a 7-year-old son. He just turned 7.
All right. So in Seinfeld, George Costanza, he's kind of like a little bit of a loser and doesn't succeed very well in business. But there's this one episode, he was I think like an assistant manager or something in baseball team.
I hope it's not the episode I'm thinking, because it's not PG.
So what happened was, all of a sudden George Costanza started having some success.
A lot of success, yeah.
And so Jerry and the other characters like, what are you doing? And
this is horrible.
George Costanza's like, I'm just doing the opposite of what I think I should do.
And it's working.
And he's like, and it actually works. I think, what would I do in this situation? And then I do the complete opposite. So I bring this up for a very good reason.
Because that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is that we're really not focusing on resolving the conflict or on any sort of, what's the middle grounds, go ahead, keep talking.
Okay, so for the men, it's kind of a natural default for men to think on resolving issues in a logical manner. Mm-hmm. But if you do that almost every time, you're guaranteed to fail.
Because we are looking at it from an emotional manner, and we just need that emotional resolution, and it just doesn't work.
The solution that you're going to offer is not
what you expect at all.
What's going to be received in a manner that is desired.
Yeah.
So do the opposite of what you would do.
And so here's what happens is, as soon as we try, because we kind of look at each other and it's like, are you ready to resolve this? And we know how to resolve it. Do you want to talk about this for another day, or are you ready to resolve this? Mm-hmm. And what happens is I hit a lot of resistance. Like, everything in me resists the solution, because I'm still feeling wounded and I'm still feeling bad, and I don't want to feel better because I'm still upset. All right. And he needs to know I'm upset.
So if I want to gouge out her eyes, I'm instead going to say, Melissa, your eyes are so beautiful.
That's how I know how you're truly feeling. No, okay. We're not. Now we're coming off as though we're actually physically forceful. We're not. We're both so incredibly passive. It's like scary in our conflicts, because we're both so passive that there is no bad guy. And so we can't play the victim dynamic at all. It doesn't work. It's so frustrating because we literally can't. The other person will not pick up the role of the persecutor, no matter how much we try. And
but we forced that role in there.
We've been trying to force the role in there, but it just doesn't work. And so that's why we have to once again always remember the solution. and to always focus on the solution. So for those of you that are watching on Zoom, I'm going to make sure that our picture comes up so they can still see us. Is this too big? If we make it, we'll take that one off. Hang on one second. I'm sorry, I'm complicating this a little bit. We'll just leave the picture a little bit small on the top of the screen that we are doing if you're watching this on teachable.com.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to show you where you can find this in our program, this document that we're going to go over. So it is in the self-sabotage. It's also in the training, but you're probably likely to remember it more if you go to the self-sabotage.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, we have a program called the Spirit Code, and it's at spiritcode.net. But we're going to walk you through this now, and we also have it under tapping. There's also the tapping sequence for relationship conflict tapping. Okay, go ahead. Is there the tapping sequence in here?
There is one, but I'm actually no, there's not one. But I have one in mind that I plan on using.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
That'll work.
So the healing from the relationship conflict right there, just click on it, and it brings up this document. And that's kind of how like the whole website goes, and that's how the tapping section also goes. It has a ton of tapping sequences that are all God-based. Yeah. Very much Christian and God-based. So we've already discussed the conflict quite a bit, but I do want to highlight this. So who is in the wrong? At this point, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Right. And who's right, it doesn't matter. And it's really humbling. And we really do need to humble ourselves in conflict. If you want to stay married, you've got to humble yourself and come to this point of, when you're upset, you don't really want everybody to feel better. You tend to, want the other person to just make it better. Mm-hmm. And so there really is going to be a lot of resistance when you try to do this. Like it almost is like pulling teeth. Like we have to force ourselves to pull this up and do this. Like we have all these steps memorized. However, getting to the point of wanting to do it and really focusing on that solution can be one of the hardest steps to take when you're in conflict. So there are several pages. And I think that's probably why we've sabotaged this class for a whole 24 hours now. Yeah. So there are several pages that we need to get through kind of quickly now. Okay. But I do want to discuss the mind versus the heart. And if you're watching this on Teachable, you're welcome to pause it and read the whole document and kind of learn a little bit about this. We're just going to summarize it for the video's sake. Yeah, so there is an important dynamic between the mind and the heart that you may also want to understand. And so when we go throughout life, our mind is there to protect us. Our heart is there to lead us and to go about experiencing the most joy. And you do know the emotions are the best part, right? Yeah. I know that you've got like the male perspective that the mind is no, this is for everybody. Lead. I know. I'm just making sure that the heart is given a nice, strong understanding that the emotions are very important. Okay, so everybody has this dynamic, and the mind or the heart is not like they're equal in their roles. Okay, one's not better than the other, and so they're both very important. All right. So with the mind is there to keep you safe, which is very critical. And the heart is there to kind of go out and branch out and to discover new things. Love. And yes, love. That's part of it. Yeah. Yes, to love. And so what happens is the heart is there to feel. The heart is there to create an emotional memory. Like that emotional memory can be a very strong, healing emotional memory that keeps you people together. And that emotional memory can hurt just as much. Yeah. So what happens is, as we go throughout life and we experience heartache, what happens is the mind says, oh, you just got hurt. I need to protect you, and puts up a wall. All right? So then you're stuck with this wall that you have to deal with. Yes. And then filters out. We struggle with feeling connection, and then you're seeking connection somewhere else because you've lost that connection. It filters out everything, not just love, but also filters out hate. So all emotions goes through this filter to kind of work towards a safer manner and being able for you to be able to handle it. Okay, because
the mind, it feels like it's doing what's right in protecting the heart, but the heart's still like, this wall, I feel restricted.
Mm-hmm.
And so the heart's going to continue to seek to remove that wall. And so sometimes that wall
when
has
it's in a
great
space
success.
of love, however, a lot of times that wall is there for safety.
Mm-hmm.
And so that wall is a barrier to keep other people out intentionally because it's not safe to love others.
Yeah. So they do have a constant battle going on between each other.
Yeah.
And so they do also respect each other as well. So it's kind of like,
and they work as a team, and they sometimes oppose each other.
Yeah, it's a yin and yang cycle that they each have a very important role, and as they kind of oppose each other, they complete more. Well, I guess it makes more of a completion in a person.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and actually get down to the steps that we're going to go through once the world's fallen apart. Conflict has ensued, and you're enraged.
Well, and it's hard to work. It's hard to take care of the kids. It's hard to love yourself. It's hard to do anything when there's conflict. Like, how do you be your best self when there's conflict at home? Because it carries over into everything. And oh my goodness, like it really does. It can either destroy or it can create. So we need to create.
All right. So here's the thing. This is basically a rough draft. I wrote this up, and there's probably a lot more that could be added to it. And if you have any additional comments, through your experience, just let us know and we can improve this.
Yeah.
It's always a work in progress for everything that we do, actually. So the first thing that I want you to consider is that you need to have a commitment to the relationship. After you stop the argument, as I said before, you need to dig deep and come to the conclusion that you want to keep this relationship.
So it's really just a decision that you make. That's kind of like the stopping grounds. Do I want to continue arguing about this forever, or am I committed to being with this person? Because really the choice is, do you want to be miserable and married, or do you want to be happy and married? Like there's really no purpose in staying married and staying in a space of constant conflict. Like, if you're going to be together, then let's be together.
Yeah. And you have to dig deep sometimes. This isn't an easy decision. You really have to dig deep and come up with all the reserves of energy within you.
Because you're upset at that time. And once you get past that upset, you can get back to that space of just being in total sheer bliss. But when you're in that space of upset, it feels like you have to really dig deep. And that can be really hard to kind of take that step, because you want the other person to want to be with you. But that's a choice. It's not like when we talked about fate on day 3. There's choice and accountability, and there's agency. That other person gets to choose if they want to wake up next to you every single day or not. So if they're still there, they're obviously committed. But are they happy? And so anyhow, I think it's just really important to remember that it's a choice, that you're not forced into this.
So I'm just going to read it. So swallow your pride and set a determination that no matter what takes place, you will do whatever is necessary to overcome this conflict. And so, Melissa, would you like to make a commitment to overcome whatever is necessary to make this relationship work?
I feel like we have people watching us.
We do.
Yes. Are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's move on. Humility. Now we have a lot to do, and we have a birthday party in about an hour. So do you mind if we give a nice short explanation and move on to the energy work, the wall removal, and the tapping sequence?
Yeah, I think that's sufficient, I think. So.
Okay. So the next step is humility, then pray, and then look for your influences. So the humility is, well, it's kind of basic, and you're welcome. I would really encourage you to follow along with us on the teachable.com that we have filmed. So please do comment below, and I can send you that link. But I think that praying has been fantastic in conflict. And listen, it is not, Heavenly Father, please make him stop. Okay, it is, true prayer where it's, you know, I love this person and we're both feeling hurt and we're both upset and we're both, you know, we're both in a space of pain here, and it's just kind of like wasteful. There's just no reason for us to be upset, and we really don't want to continue being upset. But when your emotions are upset, like everything is wrong. Like seriously, we could do something that typically would never cause any trouble, but if you're already in a place of your feelings are hurt, everything like our soccer game got rescheduled today, and I didn't know about it until we went to the soccer field, sat down, and realized it was the wrong team and that his game was actually right now during our class. Everything was going wrong. Like everything was just falling apart, and trying to get everything for his birthday party ready. It just seemed like I couldn't find anything and everything was falling apart. And normally, like we just turn on crank up the music and we're like, well, let's just figure something else out. If we can't find the bucket for bobbing for apples, no biggie. We'll do something else, you know. But when you're already in a space of everything feeling like it's against you, there's no resolution. Like everything in your life, I'm doing the all or nothing right now. It feels as though everything is falling apart in your life because it's an emotional attachment to everything else. That's why it feels like an all or nothing.
So we're going to take the time to go through this and say a prayer, okay? And I recommend for the men to do this, as it would be a good idea for them to just kind of lead in this step right here.
Because I think the women tend to be more emotionally hurt in conflict in general, that it's kind of a nice, you know, the man kind of bringing in that masculinity, power and strength and support that us women still need. We still need that support. As much as we are feminists in this world, we still need your support.
All right, so let's pray.
Let's pray. My arm's really high up there. Okay.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank thee for the strength that you offer to us, and we thank thee for the teachings you've given to us that are instructive to help us to repent and forgive and to be merciful and loving towards one another. And we pray and ask thee that we may be able to be blessed in thine eyes, and thy love be sent down upon us. And we ask thee that we may be given the guidance to open up our minds and understand the steps that we can take to resolve or overcome the concerns that we have, and to be able to look through this obstacle with understanding, and to overcome them in a peaceful manner. And we ask you to continue teaching us and helping us to learn in the future, so that we may be able to avoid potential conflicts. And we say this in thy Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So then the influences is the next step. And I love that this is all written down so that you can truly use, because really when you're in a cruddy space, you kind of need that instruction, you know? You kind of need somebody to say, here's what you do next. Because if it's not written down somewhere, and if you don't have that instruction, you tend to kind of cut corners and just kind of quickly get your way through it. And then you realize, I'm not feeling any better. This just didn't work, you know? And that's not true, because it's worked time and time again for hundreds of clients.
So when we look at the scriptures, it mentions that contention is of the devil. And
it's not of God, right? Or does it say
it says of the devil.
Okay.
And so we have to also recognize that whether we realize it or not, there are external influences that we can't see.
Now, hang on, because I want to make sure that we're clear about this. It is not just,
it's not their fault.
Right. It's
We
just that
have a
they're
choice in this.
right, that there are external influences that made me do this, that are making me feel this way. They're just attacking me. The universe is attacking me, or there are spirits in my presence that are attacking. That's not the case, please, because that's a victim thought process.
Yeah.
This is not a victim story.
That's why they're influences, not controls. They're external influences.
But what it is they feed off of that negative energy. So when you choose the conflict, when you participate in the conflict, when you're upset, that it's like a feasting ground for the spirits in your presence. And so when those darker spirits come in, it tends to intensify, and then it gets harder and harder and harder to climb your way back out. And then when the emotional attachment comes in, and you have the hormones imbalancing in your body, it's like the hormones, or so your original emotional thought creates a hormonal reaction. And when those hormones start going crazy, then your emotions get stronger, and the stronger your emotions get, the stronger the hormones get. Yeah. And it just gets worse and worse and worse until you feel like, you just can't do this anymore. You either want to give up on the relationship, or you just want to run away. It's a fight or flight response. So right here we have the explanation of the influences, but we're going to remove those. And so we call them rebellious spirits. So it's anybody who has passed on, who has essentially chosen, and there's multiple different types of influences, but we're just going to make it simple for you. But we call them rebellious spirits because they're just simply rebelling against God. And that encompasses all different types, minus maybe the really, really, really strong high up ones. All right. So with this, there's a longer script that I would go through in my own mind. And I just kept it real simple for the beginner with this. Okay? And your thoughts have so much power. I think that what's interesting is when we work with somebody and we're working on healing and accepting the atonement and releasing a lot of dark energy and going through a lot of healing steps and affirmations and renewing your thought process and inviting in a lot of healing energies, that a lot of it is done simply with a choice, with a decision, with a thought process, with a conversation, and they feel 1,000 times better. And what's interesting is that so many people kind of get afraid of that because they go, oh my goodness, my thoughts have that much power. I'm not sure if I'm okay with this. That means that all the negative feelings that I have during the day are just as powerful as all these positive that we're going through right now. Because if we're inviting in all these healing energies simply with the desire, then my desire for all this negativity has just as much power on the opposite end. Okay, so I'm going to go through the script here, but I do have one thing. It's called the chords. We're going to talk about that next. That's like the Aka chords. Yeah, I'm going to remove the influences upon those chords as well. All right. So and that's important because if you're cutting those chords, we have a very specific process in which we cut chords, and we want to share that with you today. This is actually one of the most critical components in our program, so that you don't have any energetic wounds or any processing once you're done with us. And this is something that only our students are taught. So this is really special that we're sharing this with you today. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I bring everything to light. It's kind of like shining the light of Christ or the sun upon us, so that they can't hide anymore. Right, and that gets rid of all the different ways that you have multiple different layers of hidden influences. Yeah, so what I do is raise my right arm to a square, and then I'll just follow the script that I have right here. So I bring to light all rebellious spirits and portals within and quarter to myself and Melissa, and within our presence. I bring to light all negative cords between myself and Melissa, and I bring to light all rebellious spirits and portals upon those cords. And in the name of Jesus Christ, I command that the rebellious spirits depart, and I command that the portals be sealed and never can be reopened. And then when we move to the chords, it's this energy flow between two people. And if you look up an Aka chord online, you'll kind of see some pictures and maybe some more understanding of what this energetic chord looks like between people. but it's this energy flow. And this energy flow can either be very powerful and godly or very toxic and dark.
Actually, I'll go to our preparatory steps and just kind of give you a quick little idea of a picture right down here.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about cords, there's different ways to remove cords, and there's 3 different methods in here. But I'll head back to our document that we were in.
There's so much that we could show, but we probably will just confuse people if they're just watching for a relationship conflict. Okay. So do you want to go through the cording?
Yeah. So with me, I like to convert the negative chords into a positive chord. And I have a script here as well that we can follow. And I'm just going to go ahead and...
Is that too big?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Can't read it. Okay, thank you. So I'll go ahead and read the script as well. And it has to be done with a sincere intent. It can't just be half-hearted, really, okay?
Yeah.
To convert these negative chords, it requires exercise of faith, all right?
And it really requires a desire to have positivity, because if you're like mad while you do it, you're just recreating more negative cording. And these cording have it has a lot of power. If you're really mad at somebody and you're wishing a lot of ill on them, they're most likely going to feel it. They're most likely going to experience it, and they're going to be hurting in their own way. Now I'm going to go tend to the children, and I'm going to let him finish this. Hold on a second.
All right, so I'm going to do this just by reading the script here. And I untie all of the knots I have placed in the cords between myself and Melissa. I invite Melissa to untie all of the knots that she has placed in the cords. I invite the love of God and the light of Christ into each of our spirits. I invite each of us to combine our love and light with their light, love and light. And I invite each of us to send this light and love into the negative chords until they have become purified and converted into positive, loving, healthy chords. And just visualize that in your mind, just sending this light and love into these chords and all the grayness or dark matter, and I'm just kind of filtering out or just being converted into a positive, loving, healthy chord that is providing support to one another. And so if there are any remaining chords, I'll offer you another step to go along with this. And that is I detach all remaining negative chords, and I dissolve these chords with love, and I release and remove these chords. Okay? So now I'm going to discuss these walls. Those walls that are up here that I talked about that are created between our mind and our heart. Well, more so between our heart and others. But we can have walls in many different places, not just around our heart. So we can have walls between people, and we can even place walls between other people. I mean, it can be like endless possibilities of walls here. And we could place walls around any organ or a gland or body part, or even around your whole body. So we want to work on removing these walls. And so when we do this initially, there's going to be a rebellious spirit and a contract associated with that. And that's got to go through a process either with myself or Melissa to assist you in removing that, and or another spiritual practitioner. So initially, when we do that, it removes all of these walls. And once we go through and experience another heartache, another wall can be recreated, but that doesn't necessarily mean that another rebellious spirit and dark energy has been associated with that. And so with these walls, they're much easier to be removed. So I'm going to just go ahead and focus on removing the walls Melissa and I have.
Now, and this, when we do like a wall removal, did you tell them that there's a much more complex way to do the wall removal?
The initial one. So we're basically doing a cleanup as though we've already gone through that first process.
Okay. Yeah. And that first process has to be done before you can truly do this together. So I guess we're kind of giving them a difficult process if we're not giving them the original wall removal.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Maybe we'll try and do a group one. That'll be kind of hard to do a group wall removal. I usually have to walk them through one at a time. Okay. So, it's okay. Let's move on.
So this is just the cleanup, and it is tailored towards those that are participating in the Spirit Coach program. So, but you can certainly go through this process on your own and just work through basically work through the intention of it the best that you can. Okay. And with that intention, also involve Christ in it and allow him to work with you in healing that as well. Okay. So with this wall removal, there's many different ways to remove it. And so shall I go through maybe a couple examples?
Sure.
Okay. Actually, I'm just going to go through one. But I'm going to mention a couple of them. So you can imagine all these walls and then just kind of combine them all together, and you can paint a picture on them and then give that picture.
I like turning it into a rainbow. Okay. That's my favorite. I think it's a lot easier, it's faster, it's more creative.
Yeah. And so I'm just getting different ideas. Another one is
when you said to paint a picture and then give it to who?
Yeah, to the other person, or just create like an image out of it.
I just do a rainbow.
Right. So I'm just giving different options.
I know.
So another one that I've done before is I've converted it into a rose and I've offered it to her, or I take it in my hands and like rub it down into a diamond and then I offer it to her.
So are you basically saying that the removal of the walls isn't just because it used to be a barrier to keep the other person out? You're using it as a gift of love.
You're using it as, you're removing it through a visualization, okay?
And it works.
These visualizations are very powerful.
And if there's a contracted rebellious spirit, it's a little bit more complicated, so you have to do the contract and the rebellious spirit.
Energy with it.
And the energy with it. So that's the part that we're not going to teach now because that would really be too complicated for this video.
So what you visualize, you will create with this, okay? Mm-hmm. So for us, we'll just simply convert our walls into a rainbow, all right?
Yeah. Make it simple.
So let's just visualize it,
okay?
All right? So Melissa, I gather up all of the walls that each of us have, and not just between one another, but all of them. I bring to light all of these walls as well. And I send my light and love into these walls. And I invite these walls to shine brightly and be converted into a beautiful rainbow with colors that are beyond our comprehension.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So the next one is the conflict lenses. And
this one's just a script too.
So we're just going to read the script.
Yeah. But just to explain what they are, when we get involved in a conflict, a lot of times what we can do, like energetically on a subconscious level, is create these lenses of conflict. And what they do is when we view one another, it highlights the negative aspects that we believe we see in other people.
Yeah, and then everything that they do drives you crazy and makes you upset. So when we convert them, and that's what we're going to do through these steps, it tends to be like even their annoying things make you go, oh, how sweet. Isn't that cool? It works too.
Yeah, so like when I get a zit on my face, she's like, that's so beautiful.
Let's put a little wig on it and a smiley face. No. Okay. So I bring and slate all conflict lenses, and I collect all the conflict lenses and separate them into 3 piles. One pile is the conflict lenses that I created. Another pile is the conflict lenses others created, and the last is the conflict lenses that are created by rebellious spirits. And in the name of Jesus Christ, I command all conflict lenses originally created by rebellious spirits to be sent into the portal along with the attached rebellious spirits, and I seal the portal never again to be reopened. And I gather light and love into all remaining conflict lenses, and I gather all these lenses together that others have created, and I offer forgiveness for those that have created this conflict against me. I choose to see the good in others, regardless of the conflict. I also choose freedom from the negativity that plagues me. And therefore, I choose to love my enemy and those who despitefully use me, because everyone deserves happiness. However, I may need to create boundaries in order to keep myself safe. Sometimes these lenses are created because between families, and in this case, I choose to convert these lenses into lenses of kindness. I gather together the conflict lenses I have created, and I choose to see these lenses in their true light, along with the event that created the lens in the first place. I know I am imperfect, and progression is slow and sometimes difficult. I offer myself compassion, patience, and tolerance. I am safe, and I choose to surround myself with love and peace. I choose to see the world through different lenses. I am done seeing the worst in others and myself. I'm ready to see the good in the world. I reject all remaining conflict lenses as they no longer serve me. I choose to convert these lenses into lenses of kindness. I ask for God to convert these into a permanent lens of kindness for the ways in which I view myself and others. I ask the lens magnifies my good qualities and the qualities I see in others, and I ask this lens to provide clarity and understanding to undesirable qualities.
And we place these lenses of kindness between one another.
Yes. And between us and our exes. Okay.
All right. So the next thing.
And so tapping is, there's different acupressure points or that we are going to tap on, and they are your meridian points as well. And as we're doing it, we're just using very positive healing words. We're actually working through it. So we're going to kind of start with how we're feeling. We're going to work through it and turn it into something more positive and loving. But we're going to give a little twist on tapping, and we're going to do it to each other.
Yeah. But so when I was describing this before, I forgot that there was the tapping sequence in here. And what I was going to do was do the tapping associated with the defeated energy.
But this one we actually put together already. So we can either read it or we can make up our own. Let's read it so that we don't kind of.
Yeah.
Now, he comes up with marital tapping. So amazing on the spot. But if we have to write it, he's like, I don't know. He has the hardest time. So I'll record him when he is tapping on me, and then I'll write it down, because it tends to work better to catch him on the spot.
Yeah. So since this one's in here, let's just go ahead and go through this one.
So,
and this addresses the hormone issue that she brought up earlier.
So what I want to say is that we tend to do it to each other because it's like an emotional ER 911. And it really helps you to assist in balancing those hormones. It doesn't get rid of the energy, but it balances the hormones. And so what we want to do is, when we do it to each other, we're able to help the other person to kind of feel better. And so you're offering words of affirmation, you're offering a perspective, you're offering understanding, and you're offering touch. And it tends to help in a relationship so much.
Yeah.
And we definitely need to get started on this so that birthday party kids don't show up and we're still filming. Yeah. That would be a problem.
But this one can be the very first step that you start with. So even though it's down on the list kind of low, don't think about this as in terms of staying in order. This can be the first one if you want. All right, so shall I?
Yes, please. I have a little bit of conflict on my mind from something that I just found out, and so I'm having a hard time not thinking about that.
Me again?
Not you.
Okay.
Not you. We'll deal with that later.
All
but
right.
I'm just feeling really wounded because of what happened. And I'm like really frustrated because it shouldn't keep happening. So, but I'm not going to talk about it because it wouldn't be a good idea in this video. Even though it's about conflict, it's about external conflict with somebody who's I'm not married to.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So unfortunately, I need to read it, and I can't look into your eyes.
Oh.
So just pretend like I'm looking into your eyes through the camera there.
I could like sit right here. No, this is why he kind of comes up with it on his own. Is that really by reading this, it gives you an idea. It doesn't have to be word for word. The locations don't have to be exact. It's a matter of working through the emotions, bringing up some really positive, loving words while tapping on the other person. And so the tapping, what's critical about that is that it's kind of communicating with your glands to accept and acknowledge the statement in such a way that is going to assist in balancing out your hormones. So, like I said, it's the same as acupuncture, acupressure. It's the same general idea.
Mhm.
And we could explain that so much longer. We could do a whole class on just tapping. Actually, we have about
before,
50 already.
Yeah.
We have about 50 uploaded on YouTube already. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Even though I had a really horrible cruddy day today, and my husband came home and didn't even pay attention to me, didn't show as if he cared, and I felt rejected, I still deeply love and accept myself. Even though I shouldn't have to
You know what?
ask.
They can't even see what we're doing. Let's do this hand.
Okay. Even though I shouldn't have to ask for his help, which makes me feel all alone in this marriage, I still deeply love and accept myself, and sometimes I even love him. Even though I feel like kicking him out of bed at night when he snores so I can get some sleep, and sometimes he doesn't even seem to notice all the nice things I do, I still deeply and completely love, honor, and accept every inch of myself because I am awesome.
So he's not saying he's awesome. He's saying it to me. This is how I am internalizing the words. When I do these tapping sequences with other people, we use I statements so that you internalize the words that are being said. So when he's saying I right now, he's talking about me. I am awesome. I love myself. And so he's referring to himself as him or my husband.
And I have ups and downs because I am human. And I want to learn and grow, and I want to get past these feelings of self-rejection, of sorrow and pain, because it is not worth holding on to. Even though my husband has a lot of flaws that I want to get rid of, he too has a lot of ups and downs. And maybe he wasn't actually feeling too good today either. Maybe I didn't pay attention to him. Maybe he needed a little love. And I have lots of love. Sometimes not for him though. But I'm working on that, and he's helping me. In fact, he's helping me right now. And he's showing that he cares. He's doing something special for me.
And really having your spouse tap on you is very special. I'm pretty sure we're right here.
Yeah, I might be off track with the locations. That's okay. Don't feel like you have to stay on track.
He's doing something special for me. Do you know where you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so maybe I can open a little bit more love to him. What would happen if I did that? Maybe I would get something back in return.
I think we're off one spot.
I know, that's good. Maybe something exciting in return.
And if you're following along, we're off on one of the locations, but that's okay.
So these feelings that I have been holding on to, I have been holding on to them a long time. They come and go. Mostly they seem to come, but I want to let them go. I want to let go of all those emotions, walls, and negative cords, so I can accept everything that's positive around me. Because sometimes it is hard to feel the positive energy around me. When I'm feeling so deep in darkness that I put myself in, that I can just walk right out of, if I could just open up my eyes and my heart and look for the light and walk towards it. I can see and feel it, the positive emotions just pouring into me. I can feel those walls breaking down. And the other barriers feel like they have been changing me and burying me under the ground. But that is just the way that I feel. I can change that. I have a choice. I choose to walk in the light and love. Why would I want to be buried in the ground?
Under the eye.
When there's so much light and love in the sun, shining brightly down upon me, I choose to walk with somebody, not alone. So I'm gonna invite my husband to join me. He might like it too. He sometimes walks in darkness. I bet he would appreciate that fresh, warm feeling of love again. I bet he would appreciate, he may be desperate to express that to me, but he may not know exactly how to do it. So maybe I need to be patient and understanding towards him. And if I do that, he might show me some patience and love too. Then we can walk together in peace and love, where we can share our feelings that we hide away, those feelings of love. I don't want to hide those feelings. I want to share those feelings with my husband. Because if I can't share them now, because if I can't share them with him, I might not be able to share them with myself. I know I cannot love somebody else without loving myself first. So I choose to love myself. I choose to love myself a lot, and I deserve that love. Right now, I'm going to offer that love to the most wonderful man in the world. I'm not sure who he is, but I'll find him.
We had fun writing this one.
For right now, I guess I'll just give it to my husband.
Aww. Is that actually in there?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think I actually wrote that.
It says I'll give it to my husband.
I didn't think I wrote that. Silly boy.
And I want him to so desperately that I can hardly breathe. This man makes me giggle and laugh and cry, and I feel joy. So I want to remember those moments and embrace those moments in the forefront of my mind. So I never feel alone again because I am with my companion. I am never alone. I just feel it, but I am one with my husband in spirit, mind, and body. And you know what you also need to do after this? I love you.
I love you. Okay, we're filming. Thank you. Okay, so why did we do the tapping in that manner? It really helps to bring a lot of connection in the relationship to do the tapping. And if you just do it alone, if I'm just doing my tapping sequence alone and he's doing his tapping sequence alone, we don't actually cultivate that togetherness. We still kind of, we actually sometimes get a little bit more ticked off at each other. So I found that doing the tapping together, because that's your ultimate goal, is to come to that oneness and that togetherness. It is dynamic, and tapping on the other person is just amazing. And as you see, we're just working through those emotions and really offering that other person compassion and understanding. And it is fantastic. It's not all of the work that needs to be done, but it is fantastic. So now we need to create positive cords, because we already got rid of the negative cords, that we need to make sure there's positive cords there. You may have actually, if your conflict was bad enough, you may only have one positive cord left, and you should have millions, because a positive cord is formed every time you feel something good towards the other person.
So let's see how many positive cords we have right now.
We have plenty.
How many did we have this morning?
About 30,000.
Oh, how about?
We have multi-million right now.
Okay.
So it helps. See, it helps to be able to do this tapping together and to do all of these steps together and removing.
How many did we have last night? Around 10 o'clock.
Positive cords?
Yeah.
About the same as we did a few hours ago. Okay, so positive cords, we want to invite positive cords to be formed between one another. So what we can do is we really just focus on this and this love. I offer dozens or hundreds or thousands of positive cords to be formed between us for the purpose of sharing our love and supporting this relationship.
I form endless streams of positive cords towards you.
Do you see how we went from a place of argumentative to feeling better already? And the thing is, we haven't been talking through our problem at all. And we have a lot of different clients that'll work with us, and they want us to know the full picture and what the other person did. And every single time it's like, please don't. Please do not tell us the reason why you're upset, or why there's conflict, or why the other person did is wrong. Because that is the opposite direction of what we're wanting. And if you're going to do that, please go to a therapist. That's not what we're offering you.
And that's also looking for a rescuer.
Right. So the next step is we want to re-merge, and then we want to make sure our shields are restored. And I probably would have done the shields sooner, but that's still good. Because if all of your shields have gone down, we want to make sure that the shields are restored right when we remove the rebellious spirits. But that is okay, because that's something more that we would probably be talking about one-on-one if you want us to teach you more. And we do teach this at spiritcode.net, just so much more. This is like a 1% of everything that we teach. And we can keep you very, very busy for probably about a good year studying. However, you can start incorporating this and practicing it right away. And we have a self-sabotage group that we do as well.
All right. So are our spirits currently merged?
No. So we've already merged our energy and our spirits and our chakras to be one. And so this is the short write-up. There is a long write-up in our program to be very detailed. But because we're just doing a cleanup, we're just going to teach you the cleanup steps. Mm-hmm. So we do, but do you desire to remerge?
I do.
Okay, and you desire to remerge too?
Yes, I do.
You're so sweet. Yeah. Thank you for being so loving. See, we were not like this like when we first started the class, were we? It was still, I'm right, you're wrong. Okay. And you know what? Once again, we're not focusing on the problem at all. And even when, like we said, the solution, before focusing on the solution of I want you to do this, it still doesn't work. This is the solution. And then to tell you the truth, the problem really isn't a problem. Once we get past this, the problem, like if I bring up the airplane thing and the ticket, I would just be like, okay, it really doesn't bother me anymore. I'm not upset. I'm not triggered. There's nothing to talk about. Like there is nothing to continue addressing because we already dealt with this and we're back in a really good space. So, I mean, you know, if your spouse cheated on you, the issue might still be there. But really, when somebody cheats on you, the reason why you're hurting is because you feel betrayed, because you feel unwanted, you feel rejected, you feel unlovable, you feel that really sacred part has been taken away. Like it becomes a really big issue that needs to be addressed separately. So if that is the case where you are, please reach out to me. We'd love to help you because we definitely do have steps that will assist you in getting past this. Okay, so remerge. I designate the space between us as sacred and pure, and I fill up this space with love.
Mm-hmm. So we'll say this together. Next.
I invite your spirit to merge with my spirit in the same manner that was previously merged. I invite each of your energy fields to remerge with my energy fields. I invite your chakras to merge with each of my chakras. I invite our chakras to sing and dance and have fun. And I invite our vibrations to also be combined. Now, in the long version, it actually talks you through each of the energy fields, each of the chakras. It assists you in opening up your chakras. And we go through this in a much more thorough manner. But since we've done it so many times, it's just a matter of,
I know what to do. Just tell me.
Right. And so I feel as though you guys don't have like the full information that we're offering you. However, with how affordable we make our program, it's really nothing too much out of your reach. Okay, so for your shields, right? So we restore our shields, and we invite each of our shields to be restored. So do we have a love shield? We do now, because we invited it to be restored. So that love shield is going to be a shield around us that is going to make our relationship very stable and very sturdy, so that nothing else can interfere with our relationship. All right. So are there any other steps? I know that that's everything that is in the online, but was there any other steps that we wanted to go through right now? I think that's it. So as you see, we went from a place of conflict to a place of loving, and we didn't talk through it. We told you what the issue was, but you know what? That really kind of just made it more fresh. You know, the more we talked about the issue, the more that we felt solidified in the right and the wrong issue. But the more that we were really just focusing on, like, the tapping was fantastic, you guys. I can't get enough of that tapping stuff. And then the energy portion of it, and the conflict lenses, and the negative chords, and that merging. It is just, and the walls. It's just fantastic to have the opportunity to go through all of these healing steps within a relationship. And I can't say enough that if you are working on healing on your own and you have a lot of resistance at home, that I highly recommend that you carry your healing over into your relationship, so that you don't continue sabotaging your own progress. All right? So it is a whole family healing, a whole family issue whenever you go through your own healing journey. And if you are struggling with a lot of health issues, just remember your body is telling you that something is wrong, and that we're here to help you listen, and we're here to teach you. And one of the most beneficial ways to help yourself is to learn how to help yourself. And that's why we teach others. We feel as though learning how to take care of yourself is by far more beneficial than coming to us to help you clean up your situations. Mm-hmm. All right.
So one last thing, just kind of want to mention, is that Christ. Don't forget about inviting him into your relationship.
Yeah.
All right.
And really putting God at the center, so that we really are able to keep our covenants with one another, and we're able to truly put each other first, and to really be able to stay as one. Because if we continuously are looking for that fault, or expecting the other person like to be perfect, but yet not holding ourselves up to any sort of accountability, like it's very it makes it a very unfair playing field.
Yeah.
So,
and as we've said before, our earthly relationships follow after our heavenly relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the more that you make this an equal space of respect, let's say that one person does all the work, all the child rearing, all the bills, all of the cleaning, while the other person is not. That's not an equal, fair dynamic. That we both we have to pull our own share. Like, life is not a simple, easy thing just to coast our way through and expect everybody else to take care of us.
Trust me, I would actually like to spend a whole lot more time, taking care of my own wants, exercising more, etc. But I dedicate a lot more time than I dedicate that time to assisting Melissa, and I don't feel as though I'm
feeling left
regretful towards it at all.
Yeah.
And
I actually kind of miss my movie nights that I used to have, but we don't really watch TV anymore. And so we definitely have shifted our priorities, so that you know, I mean, I know that we work 24/7, but our work is a very spiritual, very healing, very loving dynamic. And so we have a completely different dynamic that we have created, that we have cultivated in our relationship. And it shows, you know, and it makes life worth living, because we work so hard to make sure that maybe I do want to go do something for myself, but if my spouse is needing some assistance with something and we're working together, or we have something that needs to be tended to, you know, we both of us tend to just put down our wants and go to assist one another. And you know what? I don't really walk away feeling left out either, or put out, but we still have to practice our self-care. Like, that doesn't mean that we set aside our self-care. Our self-care is so critical, so that you know who you are, you know what you want, you know where you're going, and that you're really in touch with yourself and your own boundaries, so that you can love yourself, so that you can truly love the other person. Otherwise, you're going to come at it from a place of exhaustion and neediness, as opposed to a place of being whole and complete on your own.
Yeah, I'll give you just one more example. So I end up doing the dishes almost daily. And Melissa's like, you don't always have to do the dishes. And
yeah,
I'm thinking,
I feel bad.
So I want to try to actually kind of make it equal in some of the responsibilities in there, so that she doesn't feel burdened by it all. And
you know, I say that out loud. I'm like, I cannot do it all. I'm falling apart.
But the thing is, she does a lot of the cooking, and I think about, like, if I were doing the cooking, I wouldn't want to do dishes.
And I do a lot of this stuff.
I don't like cooking.
And I do a lot of some of the other.
I'm not so good at the cooking, but I also think, you know, if I'm doing the dishes, doing the cooking on top of that would also be quite an extra burden. So I do try to make it equal. And
it's really important, right? Because if you're carrying all of the burden and your spouse is negative all the time, it can feel like you're falling apart. So, you know, my best advice would be to watch these videos with your spouse, and to ask for them to take part in these shifts, because a lot of times we're just so exhausted from life that it can be so difficult to add more, to do more, to be expected to do more. And sometimes it's like, I can't learn, you know, energy work on top of how hard my life is, or I can't do all the housework or all the child work on top of all my other expectations. But your spouse probably feels the same way. And if your spouse feels as though they're carrying your weight and their weight, they're going to break, and they're going to either snap or they are going to leave. And so we have to be really conscious in our relationship that we need to be fair in all things. And a lot of times we feel as though we're carrying all the weight, but we really do need to be fair, so that both people are being able to feel that love coming in, instead of feeling like they're being taken advantage of. Right? So please just work on your consciousness, starting with your love, with your relationship with God, and with your relationship with your spouse, and then your children are going to fall in. I mean, they're going to, you know, that relationship with the children is going to fall into place. And you're going to start seeing everything kind of lining up a little bit better in your life. And there's a whole lot more we could teach you with self-sabotage. And our self-sabotage classes are about 2 hours at a time, and then there's 12. And it comes along with a manual, and it comes along with the program. Like, there is tons and tons to teach you to help you to do the same thing. So what we just did in the relationship, you can do with your own personal life with a self-sabotage, with the 12 self-sabotage steps. And it's combining energy work, coaching, and a lot of understanding of who we are in God's eyes, so that we can have our automatic thoughts and automatic emotions being loving. So if you do find that your internal sabotage system is constantly creating conflict, and you are hitting a lot of internal resistance, and you just are so incredibly depressed, I highly recommend that you give it a shot. So we have that at $29 a month for the program. And it's just a, do it as you go. Do as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. You can become a practitioner, or you can just do your own self-help and your own cleanup. And we teach you all along the way. So we have weekly classes, and we have training, and as you saw, if you're watching this on teachable.com, you'll also see the way that the steps are written up, that it is word for word, so that you really can't get it wrong. As long as you learn the muscle testing and you know where to go, you know what your body's needing, then it's all set. It's all organized and ready for you. So, and we would love to teach you more. This really has just been an opportunity to share with you a lot of our healing dynamics in our relationship, to help your relationship to do the same. Right?
All right. Yeah, let's finish.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day. And hopefully this party is going to be amazing.
You're going to be there. Of course it's amazing.